Come on, don't be ridiculous. Networks don't get to decide elections. Courts do.
Shouldn't it be voters too? That seemed like not the answer that you were supposed to give there. You know what? Listening to Rudy Giuliani, actually, I think I've changed my mind on something fundamentally.
Wow, what a beautiful day. Thank you. Thank you for coming. So I'm here on behalf of the
president.
On behalf of the Trump campaign. The people you see behind me are just a few of about, I'd say, 50 to 60 poll watchers. They were uniformly deprived of their right to inspect any single part of the mail-in ballots. Some of the ballots you will see looked suspicious. From very far away, they look like same pen, possibly same handwriting. We can't say that because we never got to see it.
This has already been explored.
Joe Frazier is still voting here. Kind of hard since he died 5 years ago, but Joe continues to vote. If I recall correctly, Joe was a Republican. I'm attacking a decrepit Democratic machine, which has a lot of other reasons to be attacked. This is outrageous.
Come out here to support our president, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to be on the go to the poll to watch. A lot of us were excited about the president winning a second term. So when I go to the poll, it was basically they put us at 20 feet away, and they said no cameras, no phones, you cannot take pictures. I was even harassed by some of the Democratic Party poll watchers, and that is also recorded. And then next thing you know, it was 6 feet away, and they still would not allow us to see anything that was happening. We saw people working on the ballots, but we didn't know any names.
Oh, do I have to go down here?
We don't know if people voted twice or 3 times. We didn't know if dead people were voting. But we were there and we were watching, and it's such a shame. This is a democracy, Philadelphia, and they did not allow us to see anything, and was it corrupt or not? And we viewed that it was not fair at all. It was not fair to allow us to, you could allow us to look at the ballots, some ballots, but nothing. We were kept away from everything.
I went for 16 hours straight poll watching. It took about 30, 45 minutes to get through, despite me having credentials of all possible manner. Eventually I showed an email proving that I was supposed to go in. They at least let me through. When I was there, I was turned away for a tablet. They did not want any tablets or computers there. I had to bring that elsewhere. Eventually, when I was let through, you were not able to get anywhere near the ballots. There were 3 rows of people counting ballots. The closest at my day, may have been 15 feet away. Then there was another row, then there was another row. To the extent that you could see anything, we were told repeatedly, including by Democratic poll watchers, including by police, that if they see us taking a photograph or a video, we'll be thrown out and not let back in. The only place you could use a phone was several hundred feet away from the ballots. I don't know what they were trying to protect. When I was there, I saw some people looking at the ballots legitimately. Some people were flipping through them at a rate of every second or so in a way that we specifically could not even see a single thing. To the extent that you could see a thing in certain boxes, I saw they seemed to be, at least certain boxes, seemed to be in the same unusual pen and seemed to have very similar handwriting. Some boxes were normal, some boxes were like that. Case was I closer than 15 feet to anyone counting.
Did they move 6 feet further away?
The closest row for me was 15, 20 feet away. Then there was another row 15, 20 feet beyond that counting, then another 15, 20 beyond that. The only thing I could see at all was the row closest to me.
Okay.
But what are these?
Here in
Schrodinger's ballots too far away to see if it's legitimate, but close enough that they can tell it's the same pen, same handwriting style, and that the boxes checked in the same way.
True.
Bonus meme 7.
I felt that my way of life is being put in jeopardy. The American way of life, being put down for things I say, who I like, and it's not fair. I'm the child and granddaughter of both Holocaust victims and survivors. And I'm the daughter of a World War II veteran and who fought for and or ran away from horrible, horrible times where people are repressed and sent away. I said to Mr. Giuliani before, in a morbid curiosity, staring at I felt insidious fraud going on. I felt that we were kept away from doing our civil duty. That was everybody on both parties should be upset about. This is horrible. We're being restricted. We're being restrained. And I see this nothing as the insidious nature of the Philadelphia and Pennsylvania governments who are keeping us away from doing what we were meant to do.
Give you one concrete example.
There was any real evidence of voter fraud without upset? Yeah, of course. Voter fraud is horrible.
What we believe.
Some places may be amateurs at voter fraud. Philadelphia is a professional place for voter fraud because you have a decrepit Democrat machine that you have had in power for 60 years, and it's the reason why you have voter fraud. It's the reason why you have so much crime. It's the reason why you're leading the country in some categories of crime. Because these people are
getting a little nervous how much he's like attacking Philadelphians.
Their loyalty
like,
is to the Democrat Party.
Jeez.
This will be a very, very strong case.
Oh.
And I know you won't accept it because of your hateful biases, but let's see if you can try thinking rationally. The poll? Because they don't decide the election. The call for Joe Biden is it? Who was it called by? Oh my goodness, all the networks. Wow. All the networks.
He's mad as fuck.
We have to forget about the law. Judges don't count. Come on, don't be ridiculous. Networks don't get to decide elections. Courts do.
Shouldn't it be voters do? That seems like not the answer that you were supposed to give there. Voters are supposed to decide the election, not the courts.
In this
but
particular case, I don't know if there's enough evidence.
That's a pretty funny
to set
fuck up,
aside
though.
the entire election. The ballots that were not properly inspected should be thrown out, and that number of ballots should be taken out of the count. Shh. Shh. And there seems to be a significant number of. I shouldn't say significant. There seem to be 3 or 4 very credible witnesses that there was backdating going on, and there are direct witnesses for that. The case that we would file, many cases are going to be filed, some big, some small. This is going to be eventually a big case. And what the case alleges is very simply that President Trump's campaign was denied its right to a fair count, which is a deprivation of civil rights. And if that's the case, the court has a wide range of what are called equitable remedies. Equitable remedies could include
a new
depriving
vote?
that jurisdiction of a certain number of votes.
Damn.
Equal to the number of votes that are proved to be not inspected properly. It could be to set aside an election, but that could be one of the things we ask for, but I think that if you set aside the votes, you would probably remedy the wrong that was done here. Now,
how many votes are you going to need to set aside in Pennsylvania, dog?
Pittsburgh, and we go beyond Philadelphia, and we have a little bit of evidence.
You're going to need more than one lady that might have voted, well, fucking dead or whatever. Like, holy shit.
That it might spread to there. Where I do see it spreading, however, is sometime next week, unless I'm wrong, I think there'll be a similar case in Atlanta where similar things were going on. Republican inspectors showed up. They expected to inspect, right, like they do for absentee ballots, and they were uniformly kept out. They got to see nothing. And remember, Atlanta had to do the same thing you had to do. They had to catch Biden up because on election night he had lost. And he was down by a very good margin with only 85% to go. Something very similar happened in Michigan, Wisconsin, can't say Arizona, but in almost every state.
You know what? Listening to Rudy Giuliani, actually, I think I've changed my mind on something fundamentally. I think that it sucks. I think that America has dark times in its history, and I think it's good to acknowledge those because it helps us move on. I think that it would be possible to have a former U.S. president sitting in jail. I don't think I would be opposed to that, 100%. I think that putting Trump in jail, or at least people in his cabinet, I think sends a strong message that America will recognize some wrong done and that we are willing to take steps to correct it. I think that it is going to be a tough thing politically to bear, but I think it says something that I think the saying no one is above the law is a little bit, but I think that for matters of just lying blatantly over and over and over and over and over and over again, like stuff like what Rudy Giuliani here, I think should count as treason. I don't, in every sense of the word. That's just insane to me. I don't know. I'm actually more upset by listening to Giuliani talk even than Trump, because at least Trump has like some personal vested interest in himself, but Giuliani is literally like as an accomplice here to just like absurd fucking lies. But I don't know.
How has your mother been handling the election?
She's been sending me text messages about voter fraud and shit.
That's the case.
Probably she's on that train.
Then we have a massive. Well, that's like comparing apples and oranges, isn't it? They're not in charge of Philadelphia. How would? I'm glad they didn't see widespread fraud. That was in Republican counties. I don't think there was fraud in Republican counties.
Right here in Philly, I have spoken to a Republican commissioner who is absolutely clear that he and other Republicans were able to watch the count here and that it was...
Well, then let him come and tell me that. I haven't found one who's willing to tell me that. You're telling me these people are lying?
Not at all, and I was going to say, I'm not disrespecting what they are.
Well, I've spoken to about 50 people. Are you the lawyer for the other side, by the way? Well, you should get paid for it. Not a single Republican got a chance to view a single ballot. Now, if we got to view 10 or 12, well, then we'll reduce our number from 120,000 to 110,000.
The thing that sucks for them is that as this like voting process goes on and on and on,
I
they're just...
seriously hope fucking Giuliani and Trump and all of his fucking cronies rot in prison. It's absurd how much fucking damage they're doing to the fucking democratic process of this country.
Yeah.
It's an absolute disgrace.
It's just going to get harder. They're going to have to find more and more and more potentially fake votes, I guess, as they get further and further behind. How will these claims be resolved? They can't prove they weren't allowed to watch. We can't prove it. It just doesn't matter. Where was the Republican Party talking about all this voter fraud on day one? Remember when Trump was happy, came out, announced his win, said they were going to stop the vote? Where was all? Notice how it's only come out and only in the big states. This is all like in the place where, like, come on. I'm so over. I was over these claims before they even started. It's called the U.S. flag, you stupid fuck. This is the only flag that the United States federally has and recognizes. Why the fuck are you acting like a different